This is Dino back for the next step. We want to add some logging policies to the API proxy to log whatever it is that we want. So where will we normally log that? You can collect information to log at any point during the execution of the API proxy. Normally what you want to do is do the logging at the end, which would mean you'd want to do that in the response. That way you have access to all the information that you want for adding to the log. So I'm going to create a new policy to support that. And again, it's going to be assign message. And we're going to call it the attributes to log. And this is going to be custom for your purposes. So we'll add in that policy. And we already said that assign message is sort of a very general purpose policy. It does a lot of things. Let's see, this is the one we want. What I want to do is just paste in the configuration, and I'm setting, with this assign message, setting a variable. So I'm using assign variable, and I'm setting that to a JSON payload. The name of the variable is attrs to log, or attributes to log, and I'm using this. And this is a message template. So what that means is terms that are within curly braces are resolved as variable names. So this is the name of the executing API proxy, the revision, the organization name or project name in which it is executing, the environment, and so on. That's just information about the proxy. I've organized this into proxy request and response. So here's some information about the request, the X forwarded for header, the verb, the URI, whatever else that you want to add, the response, status code, and the content type, which we will have obtained already because this is going to be attached in the response flow. So that's just a big JSON payload. Apigee has the ability to log to Google Cloud Logging. So what we're going to do is just set this up and then have it log it into that Google Cloud Logging. Now there's some additional information that we wanted, which was execution times, and that is a thing that we can calculate. So what I'm going to do is add in another policy that will run after that. That'll be JavaScript. So get that configured, and that'll be just add times and format payload. That'll be the name of my policy, and I'll explain what I mean by that. This will be a new resource. We'll create a new file. That'll be fine. We'll just call it that. And add, oops, that one. Yes. Okay, so the JavaScript policy is very simple. It has a name. It has this properties thing, which we are not using, and it refers to this JavaScript source file, which is here. And I can paste in the JavaScript. Now this is not ES6. It is Rhino. So it's got a few features that are not supported in the Rhino runtime, but in any case, you can learn more about that by checking the documentation on the JavaScript policy. So what we're doing here is getting the start and end times and computing the delta. Now you don't have to do this computation. If we wanted just the start and end time, we could have just inserted that into the prior policy that I showed you, but we wanted to do some arithmetic, so that's what I'm doing here. Is arithmetic, and I'm adding in a separate section called times for the payload, the formatted payload to log. So that's the JavaScript that adds in the timing information. And then the last thing that we need is the actual message logging policy. So we're going to go right. So all that does is set up in memory what we want to be logged, and the last thing we'll do is add in the actual message logging policy. So again, create a new policy. We want that one. It's a built-in policy. We'll just set that up that way. Make sure we select it, and then this message logging policy can log to a syslog endpoint. I'm showing logging to Google Cloud Logging. So I get to use a different configuration. And as always, there's documentation for these policies. So I can click that information icon. It'll open up the documentation page, and it tells me all about it. I'm not sure what's going on here. Asking me to sign in. That's a little unexpected. Yeah, so here's the documentation for the message logging policy. Okay, so I've got that set up the way I want, and it's referring to the formatted log payload, and it's going to log to this log in Google Cloud, which is going to use my organization name. That's the GCP project, and there's the log that it will go to. All right, so I've got all that. I'm going to save that. And while that's saving and deploying, let's see, I need because I'm using the message logging policy, I need a service account. So I'm going to paste that in. That's a service account that has access to the log. While I'm doing that, let me just review what we've got here. So we have the existing API proxy where I injected a message ID header, removed some headers, verified the JWT, removed the authorization header after having verified the JWT, and then that's all in the request flow. And that's all going to happen before Apigee proxies to the upstream system. And then in the response, we added in some proxy revision information into a response header, but then we also added some attributes to log, added the times in, and then called the message logging. So all that is happening in this API proxy, and that is now deployed. So we should be able to start a debug session, and we'll be able to see my execution. So let's go here, and we'll get a fresh token, cloud auth print identity token, and then I want to curl. We're not going to use that one. We're going to use -h authorization. We need to put in that bearer token. And the proxy is starter pack. Now we have invalid claim, and I think that's going to be the issuer again. So we're back to the problem from before, where I need to modify the issuer to be what it was before. So I'm a little bit sideways on whether the issuer should be accounts.google.com or should be https accounts.google.com. But we're gonna modify this, and this will be the other one that does not work. I'm just going to comment this out. I'm assuming, I haven't even checked what that JWT looks like, but I'm assuming that's what it is. So let's save as a new revision. Deploy. Again, I need a service account because I'm logging, because the Apigee policy is logging to cloud logging. It needs the right authentication. And let me flip back here to the token and just verify what I think is happening is actually happening. I'll grab that and go to JWT tool, paste it in, and yes, we see the issuer does not have the HTTPS prefix in this one, so we needed to change that. Okay, that is now deploying revision 9. we should be able to go to the debug tab and start a debug session as before, and then invoke again with that payload. So this is same token. We're now getting revision 9, and it's gone through all of that. What did we change about this proxy? We didn't change anything in the handling of the request except for the message logging. So I'm going to send in a couple of requests, and where this shows up is then in the GCP logging, which is, where will that be? Let's find it here. Here's the GCP dashboard. I'll go to observability. Let me just search in here for logs explorer. Make sure I have the right project. That is the project in which my API proxy is running. And you can see I've got a lot of log messages. This is, me logging in as an administrator and a bunch of reporting, status reporting. But if I put in a query and look for the log name that I specified in the message logging policy, I'll get those the payload that I formatted, and you can see it's got the 4 elements here: proxy, request, response, and times. This is the bit that was added in by the JavaScript policy. There's the information from the response, from the request. There's the proxy. It's that environment, that proxy name, that organization, and that revision. So that's all kind of coming from that. The extra policies that I added into the API proxy. Now I want to talk to you a little bit, and you'll see that here. The message logging policy executes in the response flow. That's right here. I want to talk to you a little bit about some options for the message logging policy. We've currently got it set up so that it runs in the response flow. It takes a little bit of time. Can take a few milliseconds to do that logging. Apigee has an option where you can attach this to post client flow, which means it will run the message logging after it has responded to the client, which means the overall latency that the proxy incurs does not include message logging. That's just a post-response set of operations that the Apigee can perform, and message logging is a good one to put in there because the log will not affect what you send to the client, and there's no reason to make the requesting application wait for that response to happen. So the way to do that is to specify the message logging part in the post client flow, which looks like post client flow. I think we can name this. And this is all documented too. And all we need is this thing. We can extract that. That step, and the latency associated with communicating to the external log system is then kind of factored out of any latency that the client will experience. So I won't show you that. It'll behave exactly the same as the prior revision of this API proxy. It's just that it'll be faster from the client's perspective. Okay, so that's message logging with custom payloads, and you have full control over what this payload looks like. That's it.